right here, saved for the few.
The game is yours to play now.
The light provides.
This is Eventide Radio.
You know, in the Dark Ages, we didn't have entertainment. We had to wire effects head just to listen to Eventide Radio. Dark times, brother. But, yeah, we did pass the time by banking rooms.
Hello and welcome back to Eventide Radio. This is a fan-made Destiny podcast where we have roundtable discussions about a variety of different topics concerning the popular video game franchise. At its core, this show is about having in-depth discussions about the game from a variety of different perspectives. I'm your host, Scotty, and with me are my co-hosts, Rob and Map, and today we are going to be doing a little bit of a deep dive into our first impressions of the latest expansion added to the game, Renegades. So this is, if you are completely out of the loop and have been living under a rock, this is their Star Wars collaboration Lucasfilm expansion, quote unquote, inspired by Star Wars. And so it has been the subject of a lot of discussion online prior to its release, but it is finally out. Everyone has their hands on it, and we've, I believe, all been playing it as much as we can. And yeah, I'm excited to hear your guys' thoughts, because I've kind of briefly talked to you guys a little bit about what your thoughts are, but I am very excited to hear your full opinions on this, because I also have my opinions. But we'll start with you, Rob. What have you been enjoying it? We'll just start with that.
Yeah, I think short answer is yes. I will say that I think Scotty, you and I, and Map, I don't want to speak for you, but I think we were, kind of leading up to this very anti-it in general,
yes,
and kind of negative towards the thought of it, and I am willing to admit when I am wrong, and I think this was actually done tastefully well, with the exception of a few things, which I think we'll talk about. But overall, I really liked it, and if I'm being honest, and I'm trying not to have the, first impression jitters or whatever you want to call it, but it's, in terms of, kind of the campaign presentation, just the flow and how you do the missions and the way the missions are done, it's kind of up there with maybe one of my more favorite Destiny campaigns, ever, because it was just fun to play.
Yeah.
Whereas there's been some campaigns in the past that have felt like a chore. This was just fun to play. So it was awesome. I really liked it. So that's my 10,000 foot opinion of it.
Yeah. So normally I would throw this over to you, Matt, but I want to echo your thoughts here, because I really agree with you. So I'm going to steal the spotlight briefly. I also was, like you said, I really thought this was the dumbest creative decision they could have possibly done. I was like, what are we doing? Why are there lightsabers in Destiny? Why are there Star Wars sound effects and things like that? And I'm like, this is going to be awful. The story is ruined. It's dead. It's over. It's going to be so dumb. But like you said as well, I'm able to admit when I'm wrong, and I've been really liking it so far. I think the story was surprisingly good. The campaign was fun. The Lawless Frontier stuff, we'll get into all of it, but
sure.
I've been really enjoying it, and I'm finding myself actually wanting to play Destiny a lot of the time.
Oh my God.
I know. I've been sitting at work, and I'm like, wow, I can't wait to get off work and go play Destiny.
Are we going to have to sanction you for that?
So it's been good.
Yeah.
I am excited to get into this, and I am very pleasantly surprised so far. But what about you, Map? I don't know how far you've gotten. I know you've been quite busy, but
I going into it, I'm going to use the lovely word of apathy.
Yes.
Okay.
I was very much like, I'm not put off by Star Wars. I just don't care about what I liked the Edge of Fate story. I did not like Portal.
Right.
And it did kind of kill every ounce of interest at the time that I had in my busy schedule of playing Destiny. Even though I feel like the idea of the portal was made for me. But so I haven't had the time to play it. So I only literally just finished playing it this morning.
Nice.
And I was pleasantly surprised, and now I feel like I do want to play Destiny more.
Right?
But yeah, it was interesting because I got to see everyone's initial reactions of it. And I did see some people go, "Oh, it's just they've got Destiny but Star Wars on top of it." But playing it, I feel like it is on the nose, but it's also subtle at the same time. I know that's quite.
It feels
hard
natural.
It does feel quite natural, and I'm gonna. This is quite controversial. I said this to Rob before you joined. This is probably the best Star Wars content of game wise I have played.
I'm glad you said it because I agree.
I've played a fair amount of Star Wars games. Haven't played them all. I put off playing KOTOR and those sorts of games because I know there's a remake coming out, and I feel like I should just wait for that because the sort of game it is not for me. But all of the Star Wars games I've played, there's some good ones as well, like Fallen Order and Survivor. They're good games, but I feel like they don't capture Star Wars in sort of gameplay sense. They're like, it's God of War, but it's Star Wars, like that sort of. And I know you could boil it down to that for Destiny as well, and so it's just Destiny with Star Wars. But Destiny was a bit like Star Wars anyway, and they've just added that stuff in. And I understand why they've had to get Lucasfilm and say this is a crossover, because if they did this story and hadn't done that, everyone would be turning their heads and going, Disney, what's going on here?
Have you seen this?
I completely understand why they had to go and speak to them and say, look, we want to do this story, we want to do this sort of thing, and we want to lean into the Star Wars more so. So I completely understand that it's not a literal crossover where, okay, yes, the Eververse store has Darth Vader and Kylo Ren and Stormtrooper skins, but that's another whole other story. But
it feels like a different, separate thing.
Yeah, but the Renegades itself, that's great. It's enough Star Wars that it's noticeable in a good way, but it's not in your face. Oh my God, there's Yoda over there. Oh look, there's Chewbacca, and it's not like there's cameos and shit. And I've gone to the social space, and Han Solo's sitting in the corner, and there's a dead Greedo in the booth, and
exactly.
I hope not.
Exactly.
I think the most on the nose thing, other than the sound effects and the lightsaber, is probably Spider's sail barge. But
above a pit with tentacles coming out.
Yeah, I was like,
that, for me, was probably the most on the nose Star Wars thing, where I'm like, it is just, like.
I will say, I think my most on the nose Star Wars thing is the fact that Dredgen Bale is just Kylo Ren, and he has a red lightsaber, even though that makes no sense in the context of Destiny. Like, it should be green, if anything, because he's like a Dredgen and everything, but he just has a red lightsaber because he's a Sith or whatever.
He's red and he wears black and red and he's cool and he's edgy. But I think it's also like it's like a nice parody at the same time. It was paying homage, but also I think in a parody way. Like I feel like Dredgen, I've forgotten his name now. Bale, that's it. He was like an homage, but also a parody at the same time of some of those characters.
And he also works as his own actual fully realized character in Destiny, though. Like, I feel like he's really, I think he's a pretty interesting villain. I'm excited to see where they take him in the future.
Yeah, 100%.
And even like some of the other things, like the Behemoth Cabal walkers, right? Like, yes, they're very much obviously supposed to be like ATST walkers, but it really doesn't feel like out of place because, like, the Cabal totally would have like walkers like that, and it's not like Star Wars was the first sci-fi property or the only sci-fi property to ever have, big walker mech things. And it totally fits.
And I'm glad the Cabal weren't just Stormtrooper helmet. Like, they had a different...
Yes.
The colour scheme was there. But I really like the design of them, especially some of the boss designs, the slimmer guys with the red... I'm forgetting their names, but there was some bosses that I quite like the design of.
I think if we didn't already have Briggs in the game, then the walkers would have felt a little like, oh, you just created these so you could make it Star Wars. It's like, okay, we've already had enemy mech type, units that we've had to fight against, and we've already gotten to use, right, when they introduced the heavy metal game mode, right? We got to drive around in Briggs. So
yeah, that's a good point.
I think introducing the ATSTs, they're called behemoths. I'll never remember that though. It's sort of like, yeah, okay, they look like ATSTs, but it works in the context of like, well, the Cabal have always been like armored troopers, so it makes sense that they would have some kind of like armored tank thing in addition to the Goliath tanks that we've seen, right? So it didn't feel that out of place. The design of them was obviously, and that I think that's the thing is, right, everything in there that they added was kind of like, okay, they put a little bit of a Star Wars coat of paint on it, but it totally still naturally worked in the world to integrate those things, and I think it all worked.
Yeah,
really
I
well.
think so too. I was surprised with how natural it felt, because I really thought it was going to be just egregious.
Right.
But it really didn't kill my immersion or anything like that.
Yeah. I actually enjoyed how much of the campaign there was like vehicle combat. I have behind me I have a whiteboard, and I've been writing down things that I've liked about the game, because and one of them one of the first things I wrote was like, there's a lot of vehicle combat to kind of just break up like it and that's always been part of Star Wars, but it's always, that's been a piece of feedback in the Destiny game, is like vehicles should have more of a place in this game because it's fun to fly them around or drive them around. And I think it's like, on 3 or 4 separate occasions they have you like get in a behemoth, or you do the speeder bike sequence at the end, which is a little cheesy, but it's kind of fun because that actually felt more of like a throwback to like the original Halo campaign.
That was my one. That was my one issue, I think, with the whole thing, was the design of the speeder in that setting.
Yeah, it's not great, but I still like that there's a sequence where you're escaping from an exploding structure. Spoilers, by the way, like
that goes with that. I would hope if you're this far in this episode, you've realized.
I will say that was maybe the only plot point that felt a little like, oh, it's a Death Star. That might have been, I think, the only thing that kind of, in terms of like pulling straight from Star Wars.
With the Nightfall Station in general?
Yeah.
I think for me, it didn't, because we've already done that before. With the
Red War thing, right?
Yeah, with the Almighty. So the Cabal, we've already seen the Cabal with, big weapon destroyer,
world-ending weapon.
That is Death Star homage. Obviously, this one was coloured more like the Death Star, but. Yeah, I feel like because the Cabal have already done something like that, which is already inspired by Star Wars, that for me it wasn't as, as a out there thing.
Yeah, I will say, in terms of, because one of the I have like a good list and a bad list on my dry erase board, and one of the things that I have bad on there is some of the Star Wars references I thought were a little. Like the spider sail barge thing, I'm kind of like wishy-washy. Like, from an aesthetic perspective, I think it looked good and it kind of worked for the world. I will say the one that I wasn't too excited about or keen on was in the first mission, you do the trash compactor sequence, which we've already done in the Presage mission. And so it's like, that already was like the nod and tribute that we've like gotten in a previous game. Or version of this, and I didn't think we needed it. I enjoyed the more subtle ones. So like in the trash compactor, when you first walk in there, you actually see like an eyeball pop up out of the swamp.
Yeah,
and it's like, oh, there's your Dialga. Like, okay, I get it. That's cute. That's fun. Or in the opening cutscene when the door opens and one of the Cabal hits his head on the door. Like, that kind of stuff was like, I was hoping for more very subtle, like if you don't see it, you might miss it kind of stuff. Like, I enjoyed that a lot more than the like, oh, we're literally on like Tatooine and there's a sail barge. Like I think there was kind of a fine balance that sometimes they did really well, and then other times where it was like, we've already done a trash compactor, like we don't need to do another one where you like I don't know. It was cute and fun, and I don't want to nitpick too many of those things, but I will say the feedback I will give is I appreciated the more subtle wink winks at Star Wars versus some of the more like heavy-handed ones that
for sure,
that but they also they probably just had a lot of ideas, and they're like, especially because that was the first mission, right? So they wanted like, drifters encased in carbonite or ice in this case, and so there was there was some fun stuff, and I liked that when you open some of the doors, there's a little like, not gonk droids, but the little tiny droids that are like rolling around, and like, it kind of makes sense. You probably see those on a Cabal ship anyway, and like some of it worked, some of it I think was a little bit like, this felt like a plan C, and you just kind of put it in there anyway. But it's okay. Sure. Like it didn't change anything fundamentally, and allowed you to continue to play it, and it's like it was fine.
The one for me was his having his hand shot off. I was like, of course, someone's got to lose a limb. It made me chuckle. It wasn't like a bad or like It was like a
right.
I love that cutscene.
There's a more on the nose one in the dungeon, but obviously, Scotty, you want to go in blind, so I won't say.
Yeah. If you don't mind, I'm excited.
But it's cool. It's cool, but it's quite on the nose.
Okay.
But yeah, I think the hand coming off, and then the one thing for me that felt weird. I get why they had them, but some of the transition cutscenes where we get on the speeder in space, and the brig smashing through the wall at the start of the mission where you use one of the fallen brigs. Some of them felt too short.
Yes.
The vehicle sections?
Not the vehicle section, just the intro in-game cutscene that we had for them. Okay. It felt like they weren't being allowed to play out for as long. It's like they were longer and they were cut for a reason or something. I don't know.
Sure.
But I feel like it would have helped if they were maybe slightly longer. But that's like proper nitpick. There was like the only thing that kind of stood out to me.
Sure.
But this is like initial. I mean, I literally just finished it earlier, so.
Sure.
Yeah. So let's shift gears a little bit. We could keep talking about the campaign, but in terms of as a campaign, actually, before, let me clarify. Did you guys play the Legendary version?
I did, yes.
Yes, I assume.
I did half of it on Legendary, then realised I won't have enough time to do the Legendary version,
Okay.
So I was like, right, I'm just going to have to do the normal one and just spit through it.
I will say the Legendary version didn't feel very legendary.
Yeah.
Comparatively.
I was going to say, I thought it was going to get harder. Like, I think I think some of them get harder, like Lightfall, for example. I think the first few missions of Lightfall are really like quite easy, and then some of the harder ones on Legendary, first time, not up to light, they're harder. So I was preemptively thinking, the last few missions are probably going to be longer. I need to get it done. I don't want to not have it done. So.
I still am convinced the Callus fight on Legendary is the hardest campaign thing in the game. Like when I went back and played it a couple like months ago with a buddy, and we did the campaign on Legendary, that's the only place where we wiped like multiple times.
I think it was difficult, but the reason it was difficult for me at the time was because of what people expected was going to be meta at the time, I had 2 GLs and a hand cannon. So I was trying to kill tormentors and do DPS to the tormentors that spawn in.
Right.
On hard mode with 2 things that can't crit.
Right.
So I basically couldn't, and I didn't have anything to infuse up because of where I was. Right. So essentially, I'd made it more. So yeah, I agree. I do think it's quite hard. I know someone who got to there on Legendary and gave up, and then haven't played the game since.
Yeah. And so there are, when it comes to Legendary campaigns, ultimately, if I'm booting up the game and I click the legendary campaign option, I am expecting, especially at this point, now that we've had like 4 legendary campaigns, I'm expecting there to be like a decent level of challenge. I don't want it to be as hard as Callus, because I think Callus was straight up not fun because of the design of that boss fight, for example. I want it to be more like the Savathun boss fight, or the Witness was really hard, but I feel like wasn't as unfair and stupid as the Callus fight. But I digress. This one doesn't really have any difficult moments like whatsoever, except, I don't know, the final boss fight was kind of tough, but there's a lot of points where they didn't even add a darkness zone. Like, it was very much intentionally not difficult.
I did notice that.
I was like, wow, okay, I literally can't fail this. Kind of interesting.
Kind of wonder if they did that intentionally, because I think one of the great failings of the Edge of Fate campaign was, and this wasn't to my knowledge communicated, is I think everyone assumed that going into the Edge of Fate campaign, if you completed it on Legendary, that you would get boosted by 20 or 50 power levels.
Yeah.
In the same way that it's done in the past, and they didn't do that. And everyone's kind of like, what was the point of doing the Legendary campaign then? Other than to get the exotic early, which ended up being pretty easy to get when you did the civ activity. And same with this, you get the exotic, but they made it so much more easy to get anyway that I think if you're looking at it not from a, hey, I want the more challenging experience, but what's in it for the player in terms of the best opportunistic, it's going to take me twice as long to complete the campaign, but when I emerge, I'm going to have, additional gear that's going to boost me. Since they didn't really do that, I don't really know what the incentive was to the average player, why they would even want to play the Legendary campaign. I echo your thoughts. I thought overall it was pretty simple. I think the level I wiped the most on was the first level, when you're trying to escape and you get attacked by 2 ATSTs. I think I wiped there 3 times, and that was probably the most than anywhere else in the game.
I wiped on that first mission with the 2 the ATSTs, because that bit at the back where those 2 Colossus spawn. I wasn't paying attention at all, and one spawned on me and just stepped on my head.
Yeah, exactly. It was pretty easy. Overall, but I still think I really enjoyed it. I still, there was times where I found it still engaging and challenging, but it could have been harder, but I don't know. Again, I think some people will only play the Legendary campaign if they feel like there's some kind of, if they get something out of it, right? They're not doing it because they want the more engaging experience. It's I just want more power level, and if I'm not getting it, I'm not going to do it. And so maybe that's why they just made it more approachable. I don't know.
Yeah. I think it's also for new players. I think there's probably a good chunk of people who are booting up Renegades thinking oh, Star Wars video game. I'll try it. Whatever.
Yeah, I agree.
So I think that's part of it. But ultimately, I still enjoyed it. I do wish it was a little more difficult, but I still had fun playing it.
Sure.
I do wish it was more of a Legendary campaign, because I did consciously choose that option. But it was still fun, and I like how one thing I really liked about the campaign is how brief it is. Honestly, I think the pacing was good. I think one of the problems with Edge of Fate's campaign is that it goes on too long, and they have you do too many side things over the course of it. And I think if it was more streamlined, it would be a better experience overall. But this one, 6 main missions and a couple side things in between felt good.
I was going to say, I think this was the happy medium.
Yeah, exactly. So I liked that. I wish there was more big set piece moments that I feel like the other campaigns have had. A lot of I wanted more memorable big set piece moments. I don't know how else to describe it for lack of a better word.
Yeah.
But the cutscenes were really good.
Yeah.
I liked those a lot. And I was surprised because I was really worried about the story. I'm a big fan of the story, and I really didn't want the Star Wars thing to ruin it. But I think they did everything on my checklist as far as what needed to be done to make sure it was like a good Destiny story, which is it needs to be a proper follow-up to Edge of Fate. Like, we can't just drop everything and do some other random thing. The Star Wars stuff needed to be subtle, and we needed to make the Destiny characters, the previously established Destiny characters, the main focus, and I think they did all of that stuff very well. They even brought back Lodi, which I thought was really
wonderful.
Really wonderful, because they kind of have a habit, I feel like, in the past of like having an expansion with one character be like the main focus, and then the next one they're like, yeah, no, this character actually doesn't exist for the next 3 years or something.
Nimbus,
I think we're going to see that more since the model has changed. Right. You know, with having 2 smaller stuff a year.
That is true.
So I think, true. Like, you could have easily had Edge of Fate plus Renegades smashed into one as a DLC.
That's a good point.
I think it would have been worse, I think. But I could easily see how that could have been smashed into one.
True. That is a true point.
I'm glad they didn't, though, but like look at how, you know, if you're really looking at dollars spent for amount of content delivered, I know a lot of people were kind of hesitant going into this year because we weren't getting a quote unquote big expansion. But I don't know, I looking back on it, I'd rather get these little like piecemeal chunks spread throughout the entire year.
Well, this is what I was going to say. I said it before, and I know a lot of people are going to go, Warframe does that. Warframe has like, sometimes they only do one a year, but they have like a DLC drop, it's free, and then a smaller one to go with it a few months, later. Like
a support.
So it's so it's a similar thing. Obviously their model is different to Destiny, but I think if the DLC hits, then this will work. And I feel like and I saw someone say this. The other day. I hadn't played it yet, so I couldn't make comment on it. But someone said that they feel like Renegades should have come first, and it would have been better received. But it's like, no, because it would have been bundled with the Portal,
right? And that would have killed it. Yeah, 100%.
Yeah, and I feel like this is what it had to be. We had to have Edge of Fate first, and then, and I know some people can go, yeah, well, they didn't have to do the Portal. No, they didn't have to do the Portal. But it's like, this is like content vaulting with Beyond Light, where Beyond Light wasn't the worst thing ever. However, because everything got vaulted and we didn't get many new guns in Beyond Light, it felt worse.
Yeah.
And it was like aired badly, and I feel like sorry. No, I was going to say I think this model can work very well, and we in total get more content. But the one thing I hope is that we get another raid. I think that's the thing that's going to hurt it, is we're now only getting one raid a year.
Yeah, well, that's kind of we never really talked about Ash and Iron too much.
What is there to talk about that?
Well, I know. Yeah, and Scotty, you owe me $10, so
I feel like that right there is good enough. I didn't even play Ash and Iron. I can't lie. I didn't come on for it.
So we can talk about Ash and Iron real briefly. I played it quite a bit because I was sort of, so for this kind of happened behind the scenes. Scotty and I had a bet at the beginning of Ash and Iron that I once it came out, I was like, oh, we're not getting anything Siva. And Scotty was sort of naively hoping out that there would be some kind of twist at the end. And so we made a bet for $10 that there would be Siva or not by the end. And there ended up not really being any, other than maybe the axe, but like it's kind of a gray area. Regardless, Ash and Iron was such a weird, bizarre, I don't know why they invested the time in going back to the Plague Lands when what the content was, which was effectively the patrol activity that you do in the Traveler for Final Shape, right, where you go around and just do like little subtasks so you can like fill out a bar so then you can go to the next place. Like, I don't know why they felt like they needed to go to the Plaguelands and bring that area back if they weren't actually going to do anything with the Plaguelands. Like I was naively hoping like, oh, halfway through we were going to get Archon's Forge, or maybe they were going to shadow drop Wrath of the Machine, and just not like there was a million reasons or a million things you could have done that involved the Plaguelands being back, and that's like the reason that you go to the Plaguelands. But if you're just going to have a time travel portal thing where she's just pulling Red Legion enemies, why did it have to be in the Plaguelands? Like, that was such a frustrating, like, who knows how much time they spent developing, making that activity and bringing that map back in when they keep talking about how difficult it is to do that, and then they're not going to do anything with it. Like, it's like they could have done those activities on like Nessus, and it wouldn't have changed anything, right? Like, it's so stupid.
That one, it was just the idea of all Plaguelands to sell it. I also, because if it was Nessus, I feel like no one would have opened the game. But interesting things, when they were doing the Viaduct stuff early on for Renegades,
right,
and they showed Fastest Outpost, the bartender
Mm-hmm.
was a Siva splicer, but he's not. So I find that really interesting. I'm not saying that Raph and Siva are coming back. I just find that really interesting. However, I do think SRL is coming back based on the fact that they've added a speedometer to
I agree with that. Why else would they put the speedometer?
Also, the mission, it doesn't let you get off the Sparrow.
Oh, really? I didn't even try it.
Yeah, so in SRL you could, but it would kill you.
Yeah, you'd immediately die if you jumped off.
Yeah. So but in that mission, I tried to jump off it. It doesn't, as far as I'm aware, it doesn't, unless they change the bindings for something, but I couldn't get off of it. And SRL had a speedometer, so there you go. That's my crackpot theory for the year, is that SRL is coming back.
I see the vision.
I'd be cool with that. I feel like that's like a baby step thing.
Right. I'm going to be completely honest. I'd play SRL. I played it a lot. I was very good at it, but no one will play it. It will come out, people will play it for the first few days, and then that will be it. Unless they make it like some event, like Iron Banner or something, it will come out.
That's what they'll do. They'll turn it into a heavy metal event.
They'll put a title behind it.
If you brought SRL back, just had it in the game, it would die on its arse. Like, if it was a permanent thing, it would just die on its arse. Because it'll
be an event, no doubt.
It's like PvP, but not.
Well, it needs to come back for an event, but they need to not do.
I'm very impressed that I feel like the Brig, heavy metal was a test for the Walkers and Brig stuff in the campaign, and I was very pleasantly surprised with how well they've done that, because we haven't really had vehicles in Destiny in that sort of sense.
Right.
And I do think they're going to eventually lead up to us having ships.
Yeah, I could see that, especially because they added the laser cannon aspect in Lawless Frontiers, right? Where like if you extract and you're the first one in, you get to use the cannon.
I was going to say, but if you're playing solo, it lasts for like 10 seconds. It's really funny.
Exactly.
But I do think that, I know it's essentially just a turret. But I wouldn't be surprised if at some point we don't get to fly the ship, but it's like the ship moves and we shoot sort of thing.
Well, I have, going back to random Star Wars references, I have expected that, right? Like when you're trying to escape, they have you like get in the gun and you have to like fight off some like attacking ships while you like make a jump to light.
Well, and Drifter tells us not to be cocky and
exactly. I assumed that was what was going to happen in that kind of final sequence. It was like, oh, we're going to get one last little cute like turret defense thing as we're trying to escape or something. So I agree with you. I think a lot of these are like they're paving the way, like adding the speedometer. Okay, maybe they're kind of working out the logistics for SRL, and adding the turret. Maybe we'll get some like ship play. And to be honest, adding the Behemoth ATST makes me want to like see if they're going to expand on heavy metal more and have like a tanks versus Briggs versus like ATST, kind of like a free for all type activity.
I wouldn't say Dead by Daylight, but in a sense of you have like an ATST or two of you, and then the other people. There's like on the enemy team, there's more of them, and they're on the pikes,
right?
That you get.
Oh, there you go.
You know, the ones.
And
that
even with like with the invasion stuff, like that kind of feels almost like Titanfall, right? Because a lot of people will opt in to do the ATST to attack the 3 people. And so it's like all of these things kind of feel like, okay, they're figuring out the logistics of like balance for all of these things to like future game modes, and I'm kind of all for it. But going back to the SRL thing, I think if they do bring it back, it's going to be like a week activity where there's going to be like a title associated with it and a little like rewards track and things like that, and they'll probably have like an SRL gear that you can buy cosmetics for and yada yada. I think what's going to be important though is they need to make sure that it stays in the game afterwards, because that was what was frustrating about D1 is like they shoved it down your throat for 3 weeks straight to play it, and then it was just gone after that, and so you like burned yourself out. And then eventually when Age of Triumph dropped, then they put it as a game mode in private matches, which is cool, right? You can still, to this day, and people don't know this because it happened when I was streaming one time, Scotty, like when you and I were racing, there was people like in our chat like, how did you access SRL? Like, isn't it gone? It's like, no, it's literally been in the game. You just had to read the patch notes, like, but like,
Joe, what though? If they add SRL, it means D3's coming out and D2's going to go into maintenance mode.
Yeah. So yeah, I'm hopeful for like, it seems like they're finally looking at like this wish list set of items of like, okay, we're going to add this, we're going to add this. People wanted this. Like they're finally kind of addressing some of those like long-term things that people have kind of wanted, and like it looks like they're kind of paving the way for it. Because like I really enjoyed how much there was vehicle combat in the campaign. Like it's felt like a lot more than we've had in the past. Where like Lightfall had like one tank level, or you know like this. Yeah. But this felt like it was a little more integrated as like, oh, we're doing this for a while. Or there's a one mission where you like get out of the ATST for a while and then go into the base and like blow some shit up, and then you get back in the ATST and like walk around to get a bit more, and like that was all really cool, and it just felt like natural and organic, and didn't feel like it was like a Star Wars thing. It was just like, this felt like a Destiny thing, but they were like finally embracing some of the cool stuff and like things that they've given us.
Small detail I liked was that Venus was
included at all.
It was no, it was.
Oh, I know. Holy cow! We haven't talked about that.
Was Dagobah, and it was also Kashyyyk.
Yes,
it was both, and I was like,
and a little bit of like Endor, like
I thought it was more Endor than anything.
Yeah, well, but ultimately, I agree, right? Like you had the treetop houses, but there was two very distinct areas, but it felt like Venus. But like you had like the crash ship where it's like, okay, this feels kind of Star Warsy, but like you had the base that felt like Endor, and then you had the treetop stuff, and then same with Mars, right? Mars had a very good like Tatooine feel to it, but it also had, what's that one planet in the new Star Wars movies that Rey is from, that like the battle happened kind of like above?
Jakku 2.
No, well,
Jakku.
No.
It is Jakku. It is Jakku.
Yeah, there felt like some Jakku elements in there as well.
But that's just it's.
I know. I don't like talking about new Star Wars. And then ultimately, shit. What's the last planet? Had elements of Hoth on it, which was great. Right? It looked like Echo Base.
Europa.
Oh yeah, they
Europa. Yeah, thank you.
They literally had the Echo Base turret, and they had the shield generator off in the distance somewhere,
and that was fantastic.
But what I liked was it wasn't a 1-for-1 in the sense of oh, it's our base. That was the Cabal base. You know, it wasn't like a 1-for-1. Oh, we're on the cold planet and we're being invaded.
Right.
You know, no, we're invading them. We're stealing their ship. And
again, these are locales we've already had in the game. And the aesthetic was already there, right? And I like on Venus, you could collect Spirit Bloom, which was awesome. Like that was such a great little, like, I see what they're doing. Like all of that was well done, and I was not expecting to get kind of 3 new, fairly large locations. Like they were pretty cool to explore, and I've been having fun doing like Lawless Frontier activities out there, and just be like going down new tunnels and pathways and finding new stuff. Like it's all really well put together and designed, and like it felt like they invested time into like the longevity of this. Like it's really good.
Yes, I agree.
And I think they know that Star Wars will be something that brings people in, when the game has a better reputation.
We gotta talk about the lightsaber too.
It's the Praxic Blade. But
the Praxic Blade.
Yeah. Mission was pretty cool.
Mission was not cool, actually, in my opinion. But
I didn't realize it was the exotic mission until I finished it.
Well, that's why I kind of liked it. Is
exactly.
It just sort of subtly threw you into it.
Yeah.
I think the final boss was bad design, but that's like just the size of the arena and where they place them.
I don't actually know what the mechanic was for it. The room before where you had to balance things, I was just throwing things, and then eventually went, "Oh, you bet," and I was like, "I don't actually know." No, because it didn't. The prompt that it gave you, I think I dodged at the same time. I did my thruster dodge, so it got rid of the tip. So I was just like, "Oh, I'm going to throw this ball at the ball," and the ball grows, and I was like, "Oh, do I?"
I think the Praxic Blade, to your point, Map, we were talking earlier, is a better feeling lightsaber than we've gotten in a lot of Star Wars games in the past. Like, there's
100%.
some good weight to it, and I have to say I always call it the saber chuck, but the lightsaber throw actually feels like when you throw it, there's heft behind it, and it feels like when you hit enemies, it's powerful and feels good, and the deflection mechanic feels pretty good. The way you move it as well, the way you draw it, and the way you throw it behind your back as well, and I think it's more of a Star Wars game than a lot of Star Wars games in the past or recent history.
Yep.
So
it feels better than Battlefront.
Yes, definitely. Yeah, well,
combat.
Battlefront is. There's a lot of. Well, we'll talk about that some other day.
The guns as well. The only thing I was slightly disappointed, and this is such a nitpick, is the pulse rifle, the Strand pulse rifle I've got on the all
it's
on
so
nothing,
good.
Right?
It's
very good. It has it's Jango Fett's blaster sound in the sound effect, but you can't hear it most of the time unless there's nothing going on. You can only hear it if you're shooting nothing and there's no sounds going on.
Yeah.
I wish it was louder.
Yeah, there's definitely some balance, sound balance issues that I've noticed, that just things feel a little off. Like some things sound louder than they should versus others, and
but the new guns are fun.
Yes,
I like the venting system.
Awesome. Yeah, the venting system's done really well.
I mean, we had that in Edge of Fate with the exotic, but I feel like it's done better.
Right, and that was in hindsight, you're like, okay, that was the precursor to all of this to kind of feel it out, and but it's definitely fun. The weapons they brought are all cool. They're fun to play around with. I know a lot of people like the Void sidearm, the one that looks like Leia's.
You know what? I've only had the Han Solo one on because I got a tier 5 of it.
The DL-44.
Yeah, and I don't like it.
Yeah,
I don't like it. I think it's weak.
Which one? The
Han Solo
compact
one.
Yeah, the Han Solo one. The
ARC.
Uncivil Discourse.
Yeah, the one that's basically the Forerunner, but for ARC.
That thing is nuts in Invasion, though. It's so nice.
I've only used it in PvE, and it didn't feel very nice. I feel like I was wasting a slot, but it was the best sort of. I had a good roll on it as well, and it was I don't know what it was, but I preferred the pulse rifle and.
The pulse rifle's good. The sidearm rolls with destabilizing repulsor brace.
Yeah.
Which is always fun. All right, so due to time constraints, unfortunately, we're going to cut it off here. I know it's more of a condensed episode, short episode. We didn't get to everything. Obviously, there's a lot to talk about. So we'll call this a part 1. And I don't know, we'll try to get on the mic Sunday if you guys are around.
Yes,
and
I think that's good.
Yeah, try to record as soon as possible because there's just so much to talk about, and I really want to get a part 2 out as well. And then after that, once we're done talking with all about the campaign and Lawless Frontier and all that jazz, we also got to do the dungeon as well, and we'll talk about that, and we'll probably even stream it. So go follow us on Twitch because we'll be streaming some fun stuff there. And yeah, hope you guys have a wonderful holiday season. And we will talk very soon. Peace out, guys.
Bye-bye.
this voice recording away and go on with your life, because you and I both know you'd have me yapping in your ear for the rest of your days.
Want to further the discussion? Get in touch with us at any of our Twitter handles, all of which can be found at our podcast description.